lets us know that anxiety and worrying are like shadows that can creep in and often overtake our minds, and they are often fueled by our thoughts, which are programmed on the worst case scenario, or we often dwell on our past mistakes. Anxiety can cloud our judgment and make us feel overwhelmed, and while it keeps us in a constant state of alert. But God calls us to lay our burdens at his feet and to trust in him with every detail of our lives. And the apostle gives us the secret that leads to peace. And once we've obtained that peace, the peace of God, it gets rid of worrying and anxiety. But the good news is, church, is that God has an answer for your anxiety. But let me tell you a little bit about Paul. Other than Jesus Christ, no other person has had a greater impact in the history of Christianity than the Apostle Paul. It was Paul who said that he was born of a Jew, and he studied under the best teacher in the best condition, and then he was thoroughly trained in the law. He says that he was a Hebrew of Hebrews. And because of his Jewish roots and his life as a follower of Christ, he was considered a man of two worlds. But you know Paul, don't you? Paul, who was formerly known as Saul, the one who stood by and he instigated holding on to the coats of those who stoned Stephen to death, and he later became a persecutor of a church. You know Paul, don't you? The one who was struck down and blinded while on the Damascus road while he was traveling to round up those Christians who had run away from the Pharisees. And then Paul, after he was converted and called and commissioned by Christ, made many journeys to tell others what God had done for him. But now Paul had to run from those who he once ran with, all because of the name of Jesus Christ. The Paul that we have all known to grown to know and love was now in prison because he talked about Christ crucified. You know Paul, don't you? The one Paul, the one who wrote over half of the New Testament, is now on death row, but instead of sitting and worrying about his own problems, he sends word to those who are going through it.